Judge David Harvey joins us now to talk about these sorts of issues. Can I just ask you, David, first question, and thanks for joining us, is the definition of what is offensive in this, hateful in this country based upon what is offensive? Is it?
No.
No.
Just to go back to something that you mentioned before, Michael, FOB actually has a specific legal meaning if you want to avoid any sort of criticism. It's used in shipping contracts, and it means free on board, as opposed to a CIF contract, which includes freight. So if people are going to use FOB, they're actually talking about shipping contracts. They're not talking about people. So it can't be hateful.
I'll give them that defence next time. Yeah, I'll give them that defence next time. Oh, I was actually talking about shipping. Yeah, I'm not sure they would have believed them, but it's a good line. David, listen, you've been hot on this issue for a wee while. Can I just take you back? How did you get involved in this particular issue?
Okay, I was very concerned a number of years ago with the it goes even before that. I went to a conference sort of pre-2020 where a very learned academic got up, a very highly respected person who's called upon by the media for commentary, I won't say any names, and was asked for a definition of hate speech. And he said, it's speech that I hate. And I thought, what? Yeah. You know, this academic is saying that hate speech is anything that he doesn't particularly like, and in fact gets violently exercised by it. And I thought, well, that is so wrong. And I sort of filed that one away. I drag it out every so often for conversations like this. And then when the Royal Commission on the Christchurch massacre made its report, there was an awful lot of discussion about hate speech then. And I had a look at it and I thought, this is stupid. Hate speech basically gives a government or police or any sort of authority the opportunity to suppress anything that they don't particularly like or that they feel offends against common sense sensitivities. So I wrote a paper and I said, no, let's forget about hate speech. Let's not talk about hate speech anymore. Let's talk about speech that's dangerous. Speech that actually involves a high level of proximity to violence. So that if somebody gets up and says, go out and shoot all the members of a particular group, that ain't hate speech. No. Well, it would be under current classifications, but that ain't hate speech. That's dangerous speech. Of course it's dangerous because it's putting people at risk. But if somebody says, I don't particularly like members of that particular group because they do this or because they do that, that doesn't involve any incitement to violence or anything like that. So as far as I'm concerned, the whole idea of hate speech, which is a very subjective term, should go out the window, and let's call it for what it is, which is speech that is going to cause danger to other members of the community or groups within the community.
You'll be aware of the well-known phrase about lawyers, let's kill all the lawyers, a line from, I think...
Henry VI, yeah,
Henry VI, that's right. Oh, I imagine every lawyer's aware of it, And so I'm just thinking to myself, if I was to say, even on this program, for example, under the current guidelines, David, Shakespeare had it right, the lawyers should go up against the wall. That would be regarded as hate speech, wouldn't it? Or would it? Because I'm identifying...
No, I would say that it shows your erudition, Michael, that you understand Shakespeare.
Well, you would say that, but...
Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah. But nevertheless, it would be regarded as a hate-motivated offending, would it?
No. In the minds of many, it would probably be a fair enough comment. Is there some kind of proximity between what you say and somebody going out and picking up a gun and shooting a lawyer? Yeah. And if there isn't, then you are expressing in rather strong terms your dislike for lawyers.
But
Fine,
nevertheless,
no
so if I was to say the same thing about a number of groups of people, the idea was that this is offensive, as you say. It came out in the wake of the mosque massacre and the Royal Commission of Inquiry onto that. David, the Free Speech Union yesterday proclaimed victory in the sense of the police commissioner has instructed a complete review of the training material that the police are going to gather. But is that true? Is it a victory really? I mean, if they're going to review it, can't they still come back with something that still is nonsensical?
Yes. So there's a review of the training material, which is going to be redesigned, and the definition of a hate crime is being reset. So now the important thing about the police material, and I had a look at it a while back, is that they are very, very clear that at the beginning of their discussion, there is no hate crime on the statute books. There is in fact no crime that has an element within it of hate or hatred. What they are doing is looking at offences and saying, is this an offence that has an element of hatred within it? Is it a hate-motivated offence? And that's slightly different. But then the problem comes, Michael, because if they've got what they consider to be a hate-motivated offence, it isn't by any objective test. It is whether or not it's a hate-motivated offence from the point of view of the victim or the complainant.
Yep.
So you've got a very subjective approach to it. And then that particular offence, although not necessarily associated with an individual, gets recorded on the police database.
Yes.
Now, just to give you an example, today there was a report in the newspaper. It was on Radio New Zealand, it was in Stuff, and it was in the Herald, about an arson attack, or an alleged arson attack on a mosque in West Auckland. Okay, that's fine. The suggestion is that the offence of arson has been committed. Now, the offence of arson does not have as an element hatred or anything like that. There's a sentence in the news reports, and it's repeated quite a bit in all three of the reports, is that it was not considered by the police to be a hate offence. And that appeared, and I thought to myself, I wonder how that arose, because I bet that what has happened is that a journo has said, "Oh, Sergeant, do you consider this to be a hate offence?" And the police officers say, "It's too early to say at the moment." And so what they've done is they've conflated the answer with the question so that it looks as though this information was volunteered by the cop. And I'd be willing to bet that it wasn't. Because as a result of these new guidelines, they have to be very, very careful about whether or not they're going to describe things as hate crimes.